Hi, how's everyone doing? This is Amy Hamilton, author of The Project Manager, Life is a Project, and The Consummate Communicator, Character Traits of True Professionals, all of which are absolutely free for download for Kindle the entire day. And I have been doing this amazing event, 24 authors in 12 hours. And I am with my 24th author, and she's out in California. And I just want to say I am so honored and grateful to have you here today, Shyreece. It is a pleasure that you are going to be my closer for this event.
And I am
And
happy to be here.
you have two books. The first book, which is The Hope This Will Not End in My Death. This is a very profound book, and you are a cancer survivor.
Yes, I am a cancer survivor. And I'm glad that you brought that up because one thing that my book does address is just my story. It's my walk. It's very authentic. It's journaled in real time. There's nothing, really put together about it other than life lived out. So one of the things that you said, you're a cancer survivor. I think one part in that journey, in one of the journals, I wrestled with terminology. And I kind of still do. So because my oncologist will say, you know what, you are living with a live active cancer, but it's stable. And we used to wonder in our support group, am I a survivor? What is the definition of a survivor? Well, if you can make it past, if you can live with treatment, you're a survivor. It doesn't mean that you're cancer free. So I love the idea of, and I don't want to confuse anyone, but it's part of the book. It's an aha moment. Cancer is a gift of perspective. You don't get caught up in language. You get caught up in what it births you into. So I've learned to stay in the present, alive in the moment. And that is my hope. It's the power to surrender to the very moment that you're living in. So yes, in that sense of the word, I am a survivor.
And in the sense of the word of the hope, you're not
Yes,
sitting there, you're not wallowing. You are like, I'm going to write books. I'm going to do
that's right.
amazing things.
Yes, yes. There's so much. I said, "Wow, this is a phenomenal." Because I've learned to talk with my creator, and most people have to get to that place. I mean, when you're faced with death, uh, and that's the book, Hope. It will not end with my death. You have to come to a place of, okay, what is death and how I feel about it. You know what? You end up going through those grieving sessions, those moments. But if you're anything like me, you get to a point where it's like, well, I'm not dead yet, and we're gonna live, and we're gonna do. And if I can, and it's in the book too, one of the pages in the book, I said, if I'm still having dreams and passions and goals, then should I take steps to do them? By all means, yes. Yes. What do you do with your mind and your heart? They're not dead yet. So live to the fullest, to the moment. And don't worry about that hour, because guess what? I believe I will have power for the hour when it's time to transition to another adventurous life. That's how I look at it. I'm
Shyreece,
going
I
through
just
life
want to
today.
say I've been looking forward to talking to you all day. And I've spoken to 23 other amazing authors, and I'm just humbled at each and every story and how they all interconnect and they build. And earlier I was listening to Sabrina, and she was talking about these concepts of agelessness and how
Wow.
don't let your age define you. And here you are, you're like, don't let your cancer define you. So many people are like, you define you. As an author, you're like, I have a story. And even if just one person reads the story, even if just
One.
one person you can touch their life, it's worth it.
It is worth it. And matter of fact, I have a feeling, and it's in the first part of the first few pages of the book. I've decided to be resolved. That's where I am. You don't have to write how they do it at the end. You don't have to write a resolution for me. I'm already resolved. I've decided that I'm going to be at peace. And so, and it's an awesome place to be because you can do it and enjoy your day. I can enjoy you, Amy. I am so glad that God allowed our paths to cross. It did not have to be. We can be in this moment, in this time. I love your bookshelves. I love what you're doing, your smile, your countenance. And when I found out where you live and near the place where longevity is going to be next year, I said, oh, this is a divine moment. And, so everything, you tend to take everything and live. Oh, I'm going to try to pronounce a big word. And speaking of words, phenomenological.
Phenomenological.
Phenomenological?
Yes.
Thank you.
Phenomenological.
So a wordsmith to another.
Yeah. And that's what we do as authors. We support each other. We help each other. We give each other feedback.
Yes. And we want to make meaning of life. And that common thing that authors do, and I knew that there was a book in me, like you knew that there was a book in you. We have this need to want to share and get it out, and it's not up to us who picks up the book. We have to leave that to a higher power, but we got it out. And so, yes, I support that authors supporting authors, and we're living life with meaning, that big P word.
And I will tell you, and this is so phenomenal because it's an international event. We've had authors from Australia, from across Europe, across the United States today. And as I've been on this journey with everyone, I've just experienced this amazing sense of positivity, of knowing you're not out there alone. You may be in COVID, you may be in your house.
That's right.
But we're all interconnected.
Yes, we are. And you know what? That's an unbreakable spirit around the universe. I was just thinking of somebody put an aurora borealis photo of this image in London or some other part of the country. We are all under the same sky. And so it's amazing how you were able to weave and I'm interested in your reflection after this and see how it did all weave together, because we are all saying something that nourishes the garden of life.
Oh, and I love that you just ended with that, because let's talk about this book. This book is so exciting.
My God.
When you talk about the garden and we talk about Fruititude, oh my gosh, the plushes are there. The plush. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So let's talk about this garden. Let's talk about Fruititude. What was your concept behind it? How did you develop it? Who is it designed for? Because I look at
my goodness.
It is just a joy. And I'm looking at the plush and I'm like, oh, I want a plush. Oh my gosh. So please go ahead.
You know what? I'm so glad that was a connection, because I did not know how much of a flower, plant, fruit person that I was until I kept being drawn to it. So one night, my grandchild got into a phobia of spiders. And so he was really tripped out about it, that he was starting to smack his hands and stuff because he thought spiders was on him. And so he was afraid. He was filled with fear. Now, there's only one thing that casts out fear. That's love. And guess what, girl? Fear hit me hard when my tumors started metastasizing to my brain. And I wanted to go into some kind of cancer therapy. And I told the lady, I said, you know what? I am going to write a book about fruit and the fruit of the spirit and how we deal with fear. So Shyreece Love, I'm going to use a couple of them as an example. You can get the book Fruititude to get the whole book to see how they dealt with their individual fear. Real life fear, y'all. This is not, I got a fear of riding bikes, or I got a fear of balloons popping. We're not talking about those kind of fears. We're talking about, what about in adversity or fear that you have a parent who may be doing drugs and you don't know how to confront them. Oh my goodness. You may not know how to reach out because you think that you're too small or incapable, or you're codependent yourself if you're an adult, and you never had that kind of help or support. Where Sherry's love, she learned how to love her self-medicating father. And she learned how to pray. She learned how to pray the Our Father who art in heaven prayer. Now that's a vignette, and it's very real life. But then there are some charts in there that gives you quick points to do in those moments, and also to know that drugs are always wrong. But also in the book, there's a place for healing, because others like Waterton, he had a problem with uh, alcoholism in his family. And so you know that people that you come, yeah, thank you. People that you come across in life, and maybe your own self, your own home, you may not want to talk about those issues all the time, but Fruititude gives us a way to talk about those tough to talk about adversities, and how to come together and really grow your own gifts, and know that you can overcome and nurture each other in the garden of spirit life, of love, joy, peace, patience. So, let's get some more. Here's goodness. I'm going to try to name them all one by one. Here's goodness for you. They are all, I love them. Here's Strawreen. Hi, Strawreen. There's Strawreen. And then we have, I love Peaches. Here's Peaches. Peaches represents faithfulness, always being faithful. And she was bullied. She was being bullied. Okay. And then we have Blupo. Now, I want to talk about this one. This symbol here is the yellow ribbon for cancer, but we're going to change that out to white, a white ribbon that represents lung cancer. That's what I have, and I am a non-smoker. So anyone with lungs can get lung cancer. So he's going to be changed out to that. This is Blue Paw, and he had peace.
And these are your prototypes.
These are the prototypes. And we are waiting to get them manufactured, or put the order in to manufacture them and get them out in people's hands. And here's Grappella. She learned to have patience with a rude coworker. Bless your heart, girl. So she was able to stay focused on her dreams and goals and not get sidetracked. And in times of COVID-19, and people are losing their jobs, and sometimes people have to go to work in tough situations and tough places. You see how real life connection this is? But yet we're doing it through, Fruititude characters. Okay. And one more. There are 9 of them. So we went through, oh no, it's 2. So we have here Orangie, who found herself in dark places. Sometimes you're invited to households that you didn't know would have a kind of a different take on something. And she sung her way out of it. She found joy, and she stayed joyful, and she sung her way out of it. And here's Parents. He was trying to welcome a very mean new member to a school. And so he was very gentle. So we can use all of these kind of attributes and virtues to overcome adversity in our very own lives. And I use a lot of analogy with how they grow best in the book. And it's very scientific, that part, and very educational. So Fruititude, growing spiritual fruit, virtues through adversity. I love it.
So, Shyreece, you've overcome a lot of adversity. And as authors, one of the things we all have to overcome is this kind of fear of putting yourself out there and feeling like no matter how much you work on your book and your material, it's never going to be good enough or not there. How have you dealt with this as an author?
as an author, I looked to one other author, and I just cannot remember the name of the book yet, but it was about when you're getting ready to write. She got ready to write, and she was totally, uh, for whatever reason, she got sick that week, like really broken. You can't even write until you become broken. Hmm. Hmm. Especially when there's something that uh, we need as a human body, a human people, a human race that we need. It's going to take a breaking. But once I got past that and I had to surrender the art of it all, the words, the heart, and my transparency, and hope it will not end with my death, my medical records are in there. It's in the back of the book. It's in the appendix. I wanted you to know that you can have hope. I want you to know that you can overcome. And if I leave this world tomorrow, I will fly away knowing that I gave you the best of testimony and example that you can overcome.
I think that is so important. And I think it's amazing because you took something that a lot of people would let break them. You took something that people are going to be like, oh, like they feel bad. It becomes a very negative space. And you turn this into a very, very positive space. How were you able to overcome this and move into this positive space?
That was a period of time. So I don't want to seem and make anyone think that it's an overnight effort. No, it was a period of time, but I think with being creative, I'll just say this. My mother, who is gone, she said, Reese, that's my nickname, everyone. My name is Shyreece. So that tell part, she would call me Reese. She said, Reese, one day tell our story, but try to do it with humor. And I said, whoa, that sounds very impossible because there were some very challenging things that I haven't even written about yet, but I will. And, but I started the work of it, the surface of it through Fruititude. I said, at least let's talk about real life issues that most churches won't address, schools won't address right away. And I said, well, let's do it through Fruititude and at least start there because there are a lot of people who are trying to be mainstream and look like they're keeping it together, but they're dealing with some very hard, rough issues that are not black and white all the time. And they're not always easy answers for. But when you read about the characters and you look at the strategies there, you start to build community. And I think with that power of being together, when you're overcomers, all these, can you imagine that? All these overcomers coming together. And that's why I love the book, the part with the recipes in there. There are some recipes you can make from my Italian friend, Lucia. She's in there. And we came together. We're strangers. We're of different race. We're of different backgrounds, but we are singing the same song in different parts. So we are both overcomers and we're going to break bread and share a meal together. So she put those original recipes in there that you can't find anywhere else. They are original. The Fruititude characters are original. The journal pages, you can journal in there. And if you want to, anybody, if you get Fruititude, if you get the book and you journal in there and you want to write and let me know it, if you want to let me know your story, I will be glad to hear it. And I will be glad to pray with you and pray over it and pray that you move into a place where you see the benefit of your gifts and your talents and you become so fruitful and so engulfed with being fruitful that you forget the pain of your past.
Shyreece, I just want to say that was very moving and very beautiful. And so many of the authors today have said, I want to talk about tough topics. I want to talk about topics that don't come out often. And when you were talking about your characters, maybe a future character, I don't know if you're going to have a sequel for Fruititude, but I think something probably that kids would benefit from, and yours is like a very like child geared towards helping them to deal with emotions and deal with issues, tough issues, is there was a woman earlier and she talked about being a survivor of a suicide death where
Yeah.
it was in her case her husband, and then and later on a member of the community, a young girl, and helping the parents with their daughter. That talk, people don't talk about surviving suicide, what happens to the survivors. They say, oh, it's a shame, and we try to prevent suicide, which is super fantastic, and we should do that. But unfortunately, like when you look at COVID, suicide rates are up, and I don't know of a whole lot of means, and there's just not, for people to cope. And when I look at your characters, I just think that would just be a tremendous testament. But I know that you're going to have all kinds of crazy ideas in the future, and wonderful ideas, and ideas that are going to be brought down to you. And I do encourage the people who watch this live, the people who watch this as a recording, like reach out to Shyreece, because her her book is real. Like she said, she's dealing with these tough issues, and not just, like, how do you cope when you have a parent who has some kind of drug addiction, drug abuse situation, because the children have a hard time dealing with those kinds of things. And
yet, and still they know. So that's the thing. They know, and they know that it's there. And here's the phenomenal thing. And yes, there will be some other books. And someone told me, Shyreece, you got to bring in the kiwi fruit and let that represent something. But yes, they do know. And here's the strange thing. Other people do know when somebody else is struggling. But like you said, we're so used of dressing or covering up, we ourselves don't have the language to even help someone else. So say, for example, if your life is just so happen to be perfect and you're not broken and you've never had brokenness in your childhood, guess what? When you're reading Fruititude, and you may not have experienced that yourself, I bet you 9 times out of 10, somebody you're going to come across with has experienced it or is going through something, because the statistics show that suicide is up. Drug addiction, America, there's a high opiate addiction. So that let me know, oh my goodness. And there was a child that just got killed, bless his heart. And it wasn't him. I'm not worried about children. I'm like, oh Lord, protect the child's spirit, and hopefully I know that they're with the Lord. To be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord. But I looked at his 2 sisters. I said, I sure love to get Fruititude in their hands. The 2 sisters that are still here. What do we do about the people who are still here? The suicide surviving members, and how do we talk? And let's create a comfortable, we should not be timid about it. Let's find a voice for it. And I could cry right now, but I'm not, because I'm passionate about this, and I have to be strong, because I believe that that's why I'm brought back for this. Do you know my lungs were giving out? I could not speak, throat closing up. And because I'm still here to be able to do this, I must talk. I must share. Now, I don't have to give the specific details of my particular trauma, but I know that there's somebody out there who hears my heart, and it is time. It is time to open up your mouth. I don't care if it's not you, the one who's going through it. Maybe you know someone else, and maybe you need to speak up for them. But it's time. I want to encourage you. It's today. It's not tomorrow. We cannot wait. I'm almost 50 years old. I would encourage, don't y'all wait until you're 43, until you get diagnosed with something, to start speaking up about issues. But you don't have to vent. You can do it in a very facilitated way, and there's others who want to do that with you. and we have to trust that we have healing and we have access to it. So we are not alone. Authors are not alone, and human beings are not alone. There is help.
Okay, Shyreece, we are coming to the end of the program. You have been phenomenal. I also have had a few times throughout the day, and especially with you, I knew it was going to be very emotional. What words of wisdom, what questions have I not asked you? What else would you like to tell those listening now and those who are going to listen to this as a recording?
Yes. I want you to remember that you will have power for the hour in whatever adversity that you are hoping to overcome. Get through the moment. There is always light and hope. I am an example and a witness of it, and I am here to let you know that you can press your way and live through anything. You can live through anything, but reach out. Reach out. There's some addresses and telephone numbers and email in the book. Once you receive my book, Hope It Will Not End With My Death, there are support groups. I want to thank Longevity and Out Positives. Continue to find and press your way. Talk if there's trauma going on in your life, if you feel depressed, that you want to harm yourself or others. Find someone to talk to now. You don't have to wait. And I'll end with this. And I want to speak to believers right now. I know that there may be some non-Christian viewers and there are some Christian viewers. If you are of a person and you have lived through something and you're okay and you've made it, please try not to encourage someone to just see you on Sunday for church. Sunday may be too late for some people. Find a way to minister in the moment.
Shyreece, thank you so much. The Queen of Overcome, and
yes.
your website is out there. Shyreece, thank you for being with me today. Enjoy your time out there in sunny California, and have a terrific rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.